This is Nuance with Nikki, the nitty gritty, even if it's shitty. And this nitty gritty is all kinds of shitty. Who's your least favorite political party, no matter what country you live in? If you live in my country, South Africa, is it the EFF? Is it the AfriForum? Is it the ANC? The DA? Not quite a fan of any of those people. Who's your least favorite party? Let us know in the comments. Go for it. Okay? I know you're all going to attack each other. Don't bother. Do not bother. I mean, you're going to bother. Why am I trying to stop you? Why am I going to stop you? But I'm just trying to say you have a precious life and you're wasting it. That's not the point of this video. I just want to ask you about the time that your least favorite political party was in charge. So if you're in America, is it the Republicans or the Democrats? If you're in the UK, could it be the Tories or the Labour Party? Right? Have they ever done anything that's hit your pocket? Let us know in the comments, have they ever done anything that's personally impacted you and you had no control over it? Go ahead and type that. Type it now. Because I want to draw a parallel between you and another country. Imagine they were in charge. Now, remember how much it sucked when they were in charge? Right? Imagine they were in charge your whole life. Maybe twice your life. Imagine not just that you never vote for them, but you never got a chance whether or not to vote for them. So not just that you never voted for them, but you never even got the opportunity, because the last time there was even an election was 18 years ago. So if you are 18, 19, 20, so on and so forth, up to 34, you may never have had a chance to vote, to have your say. And they impacted your life very, very deeply. Not just financially, not just your job. We all know how tedious it is. Are you letting us know in the comments? Let us know in the comments. But what if the price you paid was not the home you lost, or the car you lost, or like me, the tens of thousands of rands you lost as collateral damage to somebody else's choices? Write it in the comments. Okay? I want to tell you about a country that went through that and is paying the highest price, losing their lives, and not just their own lives, that of their entire families and their children, due to a political party that many of them not only haven't voted for, many of them have protested against that party. Who have you ever protested against? Can you let us know? Add it to the comment quickly. Add it. And what has happened to these people? We all know what it's like when the media talks rubbish. What is one thing the media talks rubbish about that you can't stand? Talks rubbish about people where you see the other side of the story that they're not saying. They're not saying the quiet part out loud. I share that in the comments. Go ahead. Because for these people, they have been branded some of the worst things. Today I heard a story that speaks about them as innately, I can't say that demonetized word here, but innately worthy of being attacked. Shmegzhli, with no consent. When someone holds you down, and not one someone, but a whole gang of people. They have been treated as innately, their lives are worthless. They are completely just disposable to the world. As you and me enjoy the Olympics and do this, that, and the other thing. And I haven't had the courage to speak about this for a long time because it was severely impacting my mental health. I have hope now. I have reason to hope, but that's to do with my spiritual belief. Are you done typing it in the comments? Because I need to show you an example of someone muddying the waters. Now, he's not the only person. He's not the most powerful person doing this. It just happens to be that this one triggered me because he's in my country. Because I made the mistake. One of the things I did was give support to him. I gave support to many people. And I supported him to an extent, even though I had very mixed feelings about him. And now they're clear. My feelings are clear. Okay? I found this very disappointing. Okay, and he's being used by a rather evil country in my eyes to justify the unthinkable. Okay, yes, I'm talking about Mr. Gates and Mackenzie. I might just lose a whole lot of colored followership, but please listen to the whole thing before you do that. If you hear any sounds in the background at the moment, that is my cat. Okay, so this man in the bottom right corner that you can see in the video there, that is a Zionist, and he is praising Mr. Mackenzie for what Mackenzie just said here. I suppose let's have a listen, shall we?
it, and they would say the government chose to take Israel to task, to court, claiming that they were committing genocide, which is some refreshing news. This is Gayton McKenzie, who is a South African minister, and he has a very different view of things. Watch him speak out in favour of Israel. Have a watch.
McKenzie, do you want to see a free and sovereign Palestine?
I think they lie when they say white men can't dance. John has been dancing around the question here. He's not been answering the question. No, let me answer the question. Number one, there's no genocide happening there. Number two, no, hear me out. Let me answer you.
When children are starving, that's
no.
Not
let
genocide.
me answer you. Don't tell me how I should answer you. Number two, let me tell you something. If I'm the president of this country, and let's say Lesotho comes here and they take hostages and they take children, and I will bomb Lesotho, and if they want peace, they must return the children. Nothing tells you about peace. And if I become president, I will stop that case of the ICJ, simply because the honorable minister pursues Israel. Yesterday, 22 people are shot here in Missos Plain, more than the ICJ, more than in Ramallah, in Palestine. They are wearing scarves of Palestine, while our people die here, more than Palestine. Today they say we must be enemy, Jewish people are the enemy. I grew up poor. It was a Jewish woman in Operation Hunger that was giving us food. It was the Jewish people that went to Mandela to jail. So nobody will tell me Hamas is a terrorist organization that should be destroyed totally.
And in that moment, I knew he didn't want him to be my president. But I want to make it clear, because there's a reason I call this muddying the waters. There are some things he said. There are some things he said which hold water. But I want to talk about the muddying of the waters. I want to make a couple of things clear. Okay? So let's go through it slowly.
In sovereign Palestine?
I think they lie when they say white men can't dance. John has been dancing around the question here.
John did not dance around the question. He said, do you want a free and sovereign Palestine? Do people deserve their own sovereignty? Do you deserve to go to the shops when you want to? Do you deserve to go and self-determine, which means you deserve to go to the shops, you deserve to get a job, you deserve to live the best life you possibly can? Just a fighting chance? Okay.
He's not been answering the question. No, let me answer the question. Number one, there's no genocide happening there.
A blatant lie. A blatant lie. It's the very definition of a genocide that is happening there. It follows the very definition of genocide.
Number two, no, hear me out. Let me answer you.
When children are starving, that's
no.
Not
Let
genocide.
me answer you. Don't tell me how I should answer you.
So in some degree we could say this is Gayton's charisma, but yeah, I didn't like how he handled that. I didn't like it. But I know that he's trying to work on how he speaks to people, so okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know, guys. I don't respect it. I don't. But okay, there's a certain carriage a president should have.
Number two, let me tell you something. If I'm the president of this country, and let's say Lesotho comes here and they take hostages and they take children, and I will bomb Lesotho, and if they want peace, they must return the children.
Okay, number one, Israel has unalived many of their own hostages. People in Israel are telling us, that that Netanyahu and his likes don't care about the hostages. They've been saying it.
I want to play a clip of one of the women in this meeting. She herself was a hostage with her children. They were freed, but her husband is still inside. She says that no one was doing anything for them, she says, and that Israeli shelling actually wounded them. Take a listen.
You will return them all. They will not wait 50 days. They will not wait another year, because you claim that they are strong enough. You have no information. You have no information. The fact that we were shelled, the fact that no one knew anything about where we were.
Immediately after that attack, videos went viral of Netanyahu ministers visiting hospitals where some of the victims were recuperating and being yelled at. Just watch this one minister essentially get chased out of the hospital, first by a family member and then by somebody who works there.
What stands out for me is the pain in that man's voice when he says, we were one country before you guys ruined it. They understand the politics of their own country better than you or I will ever understand. I think any South African can relate to that. I think people from all over the world can relate to that. But here's the thing. Holding Palestinians responsible for Hamas is like holding me responsible for the EFF, for which I never voted. Holding me responsible for AfriForum, for which I never voted. Holding you responsible for the DA or the ANC or whatever party came to your mind when you were told that before. Holding you responsible for what the Republicans do or the Democrats do if you are not one of them. Holding you responsible for what the Tories do or the Labour Party does if you are not one of them. Whatever your least favorite party is, if they go and act on your behalf and people in your neighborhood, even if your whole herd didn't vote for them, that is what is happening here. I'm going to show you Palestinians who months before October 7, and stuff didn't start on October 7, it started in 1948. Educate yourself, please, people. Come on. This is not as complicated as we're making it. Here is Palestinians marching against Hamas.
Many Gazans will say that they don't want Hamas in charge. Polls show if true peace were available, many Palestinians would embrace it. In fact, one conducted right before...
This was months. This episode by John Oliver came out months before October 7th. He was the only one at the time who was courageous enough to address the issue.
For October 7 found 73% favouring a peaceful settlement to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it's notable that in July, despite all the restrictions on dissent in Gaza, there were actually people on the streets chanting slogans including "Fuck off Hamas" and "We want to live."
Despite all of the restrictions, guys, there were restrictions. It was illegal for them to protest, and they went out protesting. In any case. They went out protesting in any case. Here's another reason why war is not necessary. Countries like the US, Israel's ally, and Israel herself, they have very advanced technology. You have precision strike missiles. These are missiles that you can use to attack just one person. So if you just wanted, for example, to get one quote-unquote terrorist, you really could get them without bombing a whole people. There isn't any need, and they know this. I'm going to tell you why they're doing it, but they know that there isn't any need. You can have a rocket, which you use a drone, and you use GPS to find just that one person, guys. Can you see there on the screen how you can find, see hostile, whatever, number 1. And they've got all kinds of machines. If they wanted to get me right now in my house, they could get me without hurting anybody around. They've done this successfully. They did it to an ISIS member, guys. Okay? It's very precise. And they don't have to hurt anybody else. There's no reason. So his example, Gayton McKenzie's example of bombing Lesotho is an archaic example which isn't beneficial in the modern world, even if you are pro-war. Let me get this straight. There is no point in war. We can actually all talk. That South Africa is proof of that. But even if we said we couldn't, even if we're going to go, you could have these very special missiles that can just attack the person you want. And guess what, guys? Guess what? You know what Gayton McKenzie says there's an apartheid state there. Palestinian people have been living for years under cameras. Everybody knows exactly who they are and where they are. Okay? They have to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning and they cannot get out of Gaza. This is before this war started. They could not get out of Gaza. You'd have to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, okay? And pass checkpoints. a lot like the past system. It started in 1948. Look at that. That's them queuing, okay, to cross, to get out. This is before all of the bombings happened.
Gayton McKenzie's party and the PA will deny that there is an apartheid system happening or that happened in Palestine. You know what? Just watch for yourself and you decide.
Apartheid is a loaded word tied to the racist South African regime of white minority rule. But although the word comes from there, apartheid isn't just a description of what happened in South Africa. It's actually a crime against humanity under international law. In 2021, Human Rights Watch accused Israel of carrying out apartheid. It based this accusation on the 1973 Apartheid Convention and the 1998 Rome Statute, which say that 3 elements have to occur for the crime of apartheid to apply. They are an intent by one group to dominate the other, systematic oppression by one racial group over another, and one or more inhumane acts, like denying people the right to leave and to return to their country, expropriation of landed property, and the creation of separate reserves and ghettos. So let's see if any of these apply to Israel's rule over Palestinians.
About half of the people that live here under Israel's rule are Palestinian, and the other half are Jews, like myself.
For those 7 million Israeli Jews, almost the entire land is one space. Whether they're here, or here, they have the same rights, privileges, and legal status. They can move freely, vote in the same elections, and live under the same laws. The boundaries are invisible to them. But for the 7 million Palestinians, the boundaries are very visible. Whereas this is essentially one space for Israelis, Palestinians have been divided into 4 areas. Each area gets a different colored ID card issued by Israel, and your life and rights are determined by that ID card. In Gaza, Palestinians have no freedom of movement and are under a complete Israeli blockade. Israel no longer has soldiers inside Gaza, but it controls every aspect of life from the outside. People in Gaza have no civil or political rights. They've got no say in the Israeli government that controls them. Palestinians in the West Bank also have very limited freedom of movement, with their population divided into 165 disconnected cantons, cut off by Israeli military checkpoints, walls, settlements, and other infrastructure. They also have no civil or political rights in Israel. In East Jerusalem, Palestinians generally have more freedom to move, but Israel can take away their right to live in the city. They can't vote in Israeli elections, and Israel also bars them from taking part in Palestinian politics. Palestinians who are citizens of Israel can travel relatively freely, but they face restrictions on where they can live. They can vote in Israeli elections, but
I think you get the point. You can go watch this video yourself. Please take note that it was made 3 years ago, before October 7th, 2023. Okay?
This is the truth of what's happening, guys. Or are you going to trust Fox News and CNN and the BBC? Have they never lied about you? Guys, can we grow up? They know exactly where to find any Palestinian. They always knew. And they could have used these missiles, these precision missiles, if they were just after Hamas. But that is not what they are really after. I'll tell you what they're after. There is gas underneath Palestine that they really badly want. Go and look it up. Before this attack, Netanyahu drew a picture of how he was going to get a gas, and he drew a line straight through Palestine. They're just some rich people who want a resource. If tomorrow's resource is under your house, what do you imagine is going to happen? Do you think that anything's going to save you? Maybe you think the color of your skin is going to save you. I would remind you that once upon a time, not even Ireland was white enough. Okay? Do you think the language you speak is going to save you? Do you think it could never happen here? Let's not be stupid. Okay, let's go on to Mr. McKenzie.
Nothing tells you about peace. And if I become president, I will stop that case of the ICJ. Simply because the Honorable Minister pursues Israel. Yesterday, 22 people are shot here in Missos Plain. More than in Ramallah in Palestine. They are wearing scarves of Palestine, while our people die here more than Palestine.
So I have made a video on my own channel. I made a video on my own channel about how South Africa does have its own problems. I wrote a poem and it was read in a deep voice. Okay.
To the government of South Africa, from her own people, you have done good work and the world hails you. They salute you for your efforts in Palestine. But even those of us who are proud of you wonder, when is the right time to have this conversation? Now that they have heard you on Gaza, will you hear us too? Now that you have fought for electricity in Gaza, can we have electricity too? Now that you have fought for water in Gaza, do they know how you have allowed the Vaal Dam to be polluted? Are we entitled to clean water too? Now that you have fought to save lives in Gaza, can you recognize that more children die every day in El Dorado Park than in the Ukraine? And as you save the lives of Palestinian children, is it okay to ask you to save the lives of those in the Cape Flats, in Khayelitsha, in Alex? Is it too soon to ask you to address the femicide, the intense crime rate, the murders in townships, cities, farms?
I go on to talk about all of that, guys. I really held them accountable for every way in which they failed South Africans. And that has got some merit. But Google it for yourself and you tell me. Google the number of casualties in South Africa. Go listen to my poem, then Google it for yourself. And then Google the number of casualties in Gaza, while South Africa's casualties are devastatingly high. It is patently false, and he is muddying the waters by saying that they are higher. That is a blatant lie, and this man is not stupid. He knows it. He knows it, guys. He knows what he's doing. He's not a dumb man. I don't know who's paying him. I have no idea, but that's insane to me. It's absolutely insane. 200 Jewish people and a grandmother on my page got arrested. Go and look for that video. Got arrested, okay? There are grandmothers, Jewish grandmothers that got arrested. There are parts of my videos that I can't, that don't, that they're being shadow banned. People who speak out are shadow banned, which means they don't get a lot of reach when we talk out about what's happening in Gaza. Go and watch this dad talking on my page. Go and watch this grandma.
Refusing? Yes, I want to get arrested.
All right, well, help me stand up.
Okay. I need help standing up. It's unbelievable. Thank you.
Put your hands behind your back.
I need my cane.
We'll get it.
My name is Joyce Ravitz. I think that it's really important that there's a ceasefire.
Let go of your cane for 1 second, ma'am, can you let go of your cane for a second?
I'd let go of my cane.
I'll be right back to you. I'm going to be right back to you.
It's called hashtag not in my name. There are Jews that are saying, don't say this in our name. They say, never again means never again for anyone. Never again means never again for anyone. I did not show you the video, but there is the grandma. I thought I was showing you the video. I think you heard it. Okay? Shall I play it again?
That there's a ceasefire, that people stop killing each other. Refusing? Yes, I want to get arrested.
All right, well, help me stand up.
Okay. I need help standing up. It's unbelievable. Thank
Put
you.
your hands behind your back.
I need my cane.
We'll get it.
My name is Joyce Ravitz. I think
that Jewish mother was saying, give my cane, give my cane. And the police were embarrassed to arrest her. That's in New York during Shabbat, which is the Jewish church day. For those of you who don't know what Shabbat is, okay, I'm calling it church for your frame of reference. It's a very, very important day. It's Saturday, okay? And they held a sit-in New York, and they don't want to be associated with this. I've shown you Israelis that don't want to be associated with this. Go listen to Norman Finkelstein. He's a Jewish scholar. He's the expert on this issue, okay? And if you go onto my page, the videos that are being shadow banned, it's actually, and I'm not the only one of the people speaking out on behalf of Palestine, you will see where Jews and rabbis have been beaten. My anti-apartheid songs there as well have been shadow banned.
Okay, here's my memorial where I called out the names of many of the babies. Okay, and I am not able to show you some of the footage because of this thing called shadow banning. But basically, it is where people get beaten up if they dare to speak out against what's happening in Palestine. Rabbis violently beaten. It's on my page. You have to find it. Okay. Your guys. I don't even know how to show you. But he goes on to say, Mr. Mackenzie, where are you? What else did you say?
Today they say we must be enemy. Jewish people are the enemy. I grew up poor. It was a Jewish woman in Operation Hunger that was giving us food.
Jewish people have done amazing things to us, but don't muddy the waters. Don't muddy the waters. Jewish people and Zionists are not the same thing. I repeat, Jewish people and Zionists are not the same thing. Jewish people and Zionists are not the same thing. Jews stood up for South Africans. Of course they did. Those are the real Jews. They are not Zionists. Netanyahu himself is an atheist, guys. He does not believe in Judaism. He's just using it as a tool. Okay, it is not anti-Semitic to be anti-colonialism. Okay, and the people doing the case at the ICJ actually made it very, very clear.
We are not presenting any case on behalf of Hamas. So that statement is baseless. That statement has got no merit. We do not have any mandate from Hamas. Our mandate is from the South African government. And our case also is not against the Jews as a people. Our case is against the actions of the state of Israel, the actions of genocide that are committed in Gaza. In
Our case is not against the Jewish people. That statement is baseless. Okay?
South African Jews for a Free Palestine have welcomed the government's application to the International Court of Justice against Israel's continuous bombardment of Gaza. Last year, the South African government filed an application for the ICJ to begin proceedings to declare that Jerusalem was violating its obligations under the 1948 Genocide Convention in its war against Hamas. For more on this, we are joined by Joe Blouin from South African Jews for a Free Palestine. Joe, thank you so much for joining us and for your time. And I guess before we go into the merits of all of this, let's just talk a little bit about South African Jews for a Free Palestine. It's all kind of said in the name, but just tell us a little bit more about it.
Hi, Masa. Thank you so much for having us on the show, and greetings to your viewers at home. South African Jews for a Free Palestine is a loose collective of anti-Zionist Jews, and we, on the one hand, absolutely stand against the Zionist entity of Israel, and we work in concert with our comrades here and abroad towards the absolute objective of a free Palestine. One of our key things, I think, and I think many of your listeners or your viewers will identify with this, is seeing struggles as interconnected. We know that anti-Semitism is connected to different forms of racism, of sexism, of Islamophobia, and seeing these as connected means that if we fight for one, we fight for all. And so we see it as a moral imperative, as most people of conscience do, to stand in absolute solidarity with Palestine and Palestinians, and to fight for a free Palestine, guided as we are by principles of morality, but also by key Jewish principles that support justice and freedom for all.
You know, speaking of key Jewish principles as well, there are many who would say that even the thought of calling it a genocide or calling for a ceasefire or any sort of peaceful solution is anti-Semitic.
I mean, Masa, what must we say to people who say that? I think that is just very clearly a manufactured set of lines, largely coming out of the Israeli state and the Hasbara propaganda machine, which has been doing work over the last few decades, especially, to conflate Zionism and Judaism. And I think it's really important to recognize that Zionism is a fairly new phenomenon in Jewish history.
All right, guys. That's all I've got. That's all I've got in me, even. That's all I've got. Free Palestine. Free the children. Give relief to both real Jews and to innocent civilians who don't deserve to be collateral damage in someone else's fight for money. Free innocent people just like you and me, who don't deserve for their families to be collateral damage in someone else's greed for money. Okay? Don't be so sure that you are safe from this happening to you. Bye.